NFL fan.
Hello.
What's up?
Hello, everyone.
Hey, how are you?
I am well.
Good.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. How's it going so far?
Great. Fantastic.
Well,
A lot of stuff.
there's a lot of stuff. Okay, great. I'd love to go around, introduce yourself, where you're from and what you do, and then we'll go back around and do Q&A. And I would make that very selfish because that's, you've consumed plenty of macro free advice from me, but like I'd love to make sure I deliver on what your singular question is here, so let's go. This portion is like with me, so I think this is when you need to get selfish. Like you need to ask your question. Hiring is guessing, firing is knowing. Like you gotta go fast. That's how you get shit done, that's how you figure stuff out.
This is the television, and the television is the radio.
So 4Ds, motherfuckers.
Brian Bellamy from Charlotte, North Carolina, head of the Refinery House, which is a small agency right now.
Awesome.
So, yeah, you see it.
Awesome.
My name is Stephen Jane, Refinery House, Charlotte, North Carolina, paid media.
Paid media.
And I'm Taylor Bryant, Creative Director at the Refinery House.
Awesome. Mark, I know you. Okay, here we go. Go ahead. It's now your turn.
I'm Kerry. We are the 1% group with Lynn, so life partner, business partner.
Very nice.
From Melbourne, Australia.
Very nice.
We work with health and fitness experts to help them monetize on their brand. Really niched health and fitness experts, postnatal, your bodybuilding guys, powerlifting guys, all sorts of just real experts that can solve one problem. We help them generate leads, make sales, set up their delivery systems to scale, creating a high-end experience for their customers and clients.
Understood. Through a rev share with them model or through a fee model?
Through
At the moment,
fee
it's
model.
fee.
Yeah.
Okay, understood. Awesome.
Cool. So my name is Doc Williams. So I'm the founder of Brand Factory Inc. And basically I'm a personal CTO. So I help solo entrepreneurs, small businesses, when they're struggling and trying to scale and they're frustrated, I go in and basically build their tech stacks or help them with automation for that one.
Makes a lot of sense. Where are you based?
DC.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And then started with copywriting. So that's how it started with, years ago, and then went from there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brian Neal, CEO of Blind Zebra Enterprises. I do sales training, sales coaching, keynote speaking, and podcasting. My side hustle's on an NFL ref.
Is that true?
That's true. I got you a present too.
I'm fired up about it. I want it already.
You want the present?
No, we'll save it for the
Okay,
end.
do it later.
You NFL ref.
I'm an NFL ref. Yeah.
You actually referee NFL games.
I do.
I think it's amazing.
For 5 years. You've seen me.
That's
in person,
crazy.
not even know.
That's amazing.
Right. It's awesome.
How many games a year do you do?
22. 15 regular season, 4 preseason, hopefully.
I'm so fired up. I cannot wait to be mad at a
Fired
call
up.
that
Let's
you
go.
make next year.
You can ask me anything you want. I know we have the cameras going. I got to stay.
Listen, I already know the answers. It's human beings,
it is.
It's amazing. Cool, that's really cool. Let's rock and roll.
All right, Q&A.
So in the macro, actually I'll just start with this, given you three. I would assume, which would be smart, given what you're at, creative and media, you're on your path to building a VaynerMedia-like agency and trying to figure, obviously there's always nuances, but creative and media under one house. And you're trying to, whatever it may be, there may be a bunch of different things.
Bigger than that.
Go ahead.
If you remember, I left you a comment about asking about how you apply a retainer model to a software development agency. And so that's like primary is solving this. So we have a software development agency that sits next to a digital marketing agency. So they're all from the digital marketing agency side. We also have full service software development in terms of enterprise level stuff. So
All under what?
One
One company, like one P&L?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And
It started with that and this has been built on top?
that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so software development goes back about 4.5 years.
How did that start?
Me.
Solo.
Pretty much.
Cool.
Yep. And then now, so
How many people are in each?
so almost a bench of about 70 engineers on the right side with.
Meaning none full-time and all outsourced when you say bench?
So I invested in an agency in St. Louis so that we could share an engineer bench.
Interesting.
So
they're full-time employees?
they're full time of them, and then I get to lean into their bench and kind of cost share.
I get it.
So easy burstable capacity, keeps my overhead low.
Totally understand.
Yeah, so
That's that. How many, if any, full-time devs?
So yeah, we're full-time devs.
Yeah.
Just over a dozen.
Understood.
And then kind of on this side, we're
Yes.
all full-time in the agency.
And how many of those?
About a dozen as well. Well,
Understood.
10 to 15, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So on the software side, I'm curious if you've seen models work where you can have a retainer that's more than just support or maintenance, right? Because you've talked about breaking out the strategy into its own component of how you bill a client, or like
The answer is you
retainer,
can, and you've gone through some of these things. It's hard for it not to be support or maintenance because people have bought into the value of that.
Right.
You know, when I started VaynerMedia, this company started as community management only. That was the only thing we did. You know, Campbell's hired us, and some of you are youngsters, but old Facebook, like if you left somebody on somebody's page, that was what was on the top of the wall. It was like MySpace, you know, like, so, you know, people weren't, like, the amount of people that laughed me out of the room to make comments, to like do community management and make content, which is the core foundation of like who I am and like what is probably considered best in class 2019 marketing on digital right now. Put out content on social networks and engage with the community for insights and, right? Laughed out of the room for $5,000 a month. Laughed out of the room. With 1 million followers on Twitter, when I knew him, when built up wine library with like been on Conan, with like the same kid that built from 3 to 60 million, laughed. Why I'm telling you that is it's the answer. The answer is of course. If you deliver on what you're asking for in return, and I believe there are a lot of people emerging potentially in the mid-market that can afford to pay a strategy around tech, infrastructure. I think both of you can easily convince a human and say, hey Gary, you have wine library. Let's go back to my dad's own store and say, you're wasting money on legacy tech and bad infrastructural decisions by just paying me $3,000 a month, where I will both be in the bat phone business. So before you decide if it's MailChimp or Cloud this or Google, like, or a new POS, if you're just, I'm bat phone. And on top of that, I'll be proactive and set up I'll be in defense, bat phone, but quarterly we have an in-face or a 30-minute call every 2 months, or I'll be on offense where me and my team are thinking about your liquor store business, and you build an infrastructure that allows people to see what's going on best in class. In Canada, the Canada Liquor Control Board now puts QR codes on their bottles. I do believe that there's a sector that would pay for thinking. Okay. Because the way you always get people to understand it is the money saved. One of the ways I started breaking through to community management was saying, how much do you spend on call centers? Oh, fucking millions. I'm like, they blow and they do nothing. Community management, when somebody goes on your Campbell's page and says your soup stinks, that's also could be a call center. And we're only 60,000 per year, and I'm gonna pay, got it? So it's the angle.
Yeah, so it's like the product or the story that you present to them.
I gave it to you. I think that's the truth.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure there's others, but I gave you the one that, like, I'm always reverse engineer from the consumer. What would, I always say, what would trick me? And trick in a good way. What would get me thinking like, And one thing you could do is like, in the way, if you go prospecting, it's like, do you spend $50,000 years on technology? Technology is your email service, your like you throw a lot in there. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, like my dad's company, Wine Library, right now, is incapable of making smart tech decisions. That's not true, I forgot, we have John Kane. We are, but a lot aren't, and more importantly, bless you, and John would know what to do with that too. So look, people don't like to pay for thinking. They don't like it. Strategy is, but.
Just done it on the marketing side and it's gone great.
Because there's an output along with it.
Yeah.
Strategy baked into videos, cool. Strategy just for the sake of strategy, not cool.
Right.
Got it?
Yeah.
Notice how I made you put something tangible in there. I'm gonna give you a 30-minute call every night, So people want something. I'll be honest with you, one of the ways to do it is to do an annual conference.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, one of the things we're about to do at VaynerSports, just to give you a preview, you'll see me promoting it in 6 months. I gotta get it past AJ, but I think I got it. We have a lot of people that are doing brand deals with our players, but so much of it has to do with me, and they're trying to and I'm like, look, why don't we just, if they do brand deals with our partners, like with our players, why don't we do a thing every year, like the Saturday before the Super Bowl in whatever town it is, and they get access to that one day full of it. It's money to spend time with me, and this is an hour. Like,
piloted it in Atlanta this year a little bit.
What we did in Atlanta is exactly how I'm thinking about it. Atlanta, that was the fucking cool party, and I'll do that again. In Miami, we'll have 2 Chainz, and we'll have, we'll kill it, and it'll be culture. That's Saturday night. Friday will be the business conference for the people that sign $1,000 deal or more with VaynerSports people, and what those businesses are gonna do and be like, fuck it. I don't give a fuck who VaynerSports gives to what players my money for my cheese puffs. I just want to be with Gary for that day on Friday. I would pay. Got it? That's how you have to think. Reverse engineer them.
Makes sense. Okay. And then kind of the reason why we came, or I brought them, is we're a really young marketing agency.
Yes.
Really young. January 1 of this year.
Amazing. Congrats.
Thanks. So it's more of starting well for us.
Yeah.
Versus coming to you in 2 years going, shit, I wasted $1,000 on this and $1,000 on that.
That's right. That's exactly right.
You can go back to where you were, if you even were ever in between 10 and 20 full-timers and
we were.
boutique.
Yeah, we were.
And
I started my company in a conference room of another company. Like we were, like people like kind of continue to forget that when
you started from ground zero.
Ground zero.
You're like 30 friends or
got
10
it. No,
friends.
respect. We were small.
Cool.
For a long time, because the first 2 years I was pretty passive. I mean, I think when I took over 2.5 years in, I think we were less than 30.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we got crazy when I started running it full time. I just love hiring people. That's not a joke. So go ahead.
Yeah, so if you can think back to then, give me,
a couple core things.
Yeah,
disproportionate over communication with every single person that's in it.
Excellent.
Like the game-changing reason why VaynerMedia is still foundationally strong is how close I was to the first 100 employees. It still permeates. It'll rear its head later of like old Vayner, new, like there's many things that will come from it later, but it is honestly, it's raising a child. Overlove the fuck out of your kid in the first 4 years and see ridiculous dividends later. Like, later you can worry about entitlement. But at 4, they can't be entitled. Just love the fuck out of them. Later, you can like not let them win like I do with now, But in the beginning, and they'll cry, does every day. But because they're getting used to like, what is this? But so it's you're the guy. You have to build a real relationship with all of them. Thanks for the post you posted yesterday. It's very sweet. You have to build a real relationship, and you have to manage all of them differently. You have to manage them based on them, not based on you. Right, yeah. And sometimes they want, and at first everyone wants. There's a million things. Sure. At 12 and 20, like you're gonna have that awesome culture. Like, people are gonna stay later. You're close as fuck. Cut out the cancer quick. Okay. If you by accident fucked up and hired somebody, you gotta get, give her or him the only time I'm pretty radical candor is when they're a singular cancer in a small group where I'm like, hey, like nobody likes you. Well, I'm the best employee. I'm like, cool, I'm still gonna fire you. That the best employee isn't the one who makes the most money or the client likes the best. It's the holistic best. And all 11 people in this office don't love the way you're rolling.
Makes sense.
So that's important. Early cancer is important because it keeps like positive vibes. It's a very I think the first 4 years of a company are disproportionately nurturing. It's actually really funny. There was a period in 2011-12 when I was investing in pretty heavily in female-centric startups. Birchbox and McMag and all these companies, and later it became such a part of our culture of like, there was a moment 24 months ago where like, what's your portfolio look like with female founders? And I could see it was bubbling up, and I remember thinking like, this is gonna be awesome, because I was really in a good place. But it was really funny. I was in a good place, not by being a noble man or like trying to be fair. It was out of my general thesis of the other way. It was my disrespect, it was me being, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, no, because, sorry, I used the word, because it was me I was stereotyping men. Yeah. Even though I'm a nurturing dude, I was stereotyping men for not being, I was being very, very basic. Women are, but I actually believe it. I believe that over nurturing emotionally a business in the first 3 to 4 years is remarkably underrated. All feelings, all kumbaya. I mean, you gotta pay the bills.
Sure.
You gotta get through. But I think that's where, if you can help, and I don't know you well enough, if you can put a lot of the financial onus on yourself, and right, it's very cliche. That's why I asked you, did you start it first? I'm like, good, he's gonna be able to do this, because he was like, when you're the person that is the thing at first, you know it. Like that's you can't imagine how fun it is to walk through this company knowing that me as the CEO is the best practitioner of social media work. There is no executive that I'm scared of in my own company. It's very powerful. Most executives lose touch with reality, or never had it in the first place. They just thought of a business idea and their partner was the one that made the bread. So as much onus and pressure on you to allow it to establish that culture, and then where I missed the mark was in year 5, 6, 7. When we were here, when did we first move in here? 3?
2 to 3 years ago.
Yeah.
3, right? 3. It's 3. 3 will be in August, right? Yeah. So what are we in? 19, 16. I took over. 5 years in. I did it so. I waited 1 year too long to make the transition from over nurturing to merit, which then creates entitlement. And I had a very difficult time unwinding that. It took me a good year and a half because I let go of 30 people to make this statement, rip the Band-Aid.
Right.
That fucked up everybody. I mean, you would have thought that it was the Great Depression here. But people yelling at me in an all hands on, and my own employees being like, fuck you. But that, I made the mistake. I waited a year and a half too long.
To go from lovey-dovey to just hey, it's a meritocracy.
I make fun of entitlement, don't let your kids win 8th place trophies, but I missed the mark here by a year and a half. And the moment I realized it, I was I just remember going through that in my own mind. I was like, this is gonna suck, because what entitled kids don't like is when you cut off their credit card. Right. like the kids that you buy Mercedes for in high school, pay for their college, unlimited Uber, unlimited Equinox, and the first year out of college you buy them their apartment and you get them unlimited Uber continuous and you got them their job. When you decide, because you're a parent that decides that for some weird reason 23 is the year a kid gets cut off, that kid fucking shits on you like crazy. Because you didn't condition them.
I have a little sister, so I'm well.
So that happened. So I think if you can get that to me is the framework. If you can get your timing right from over coddling, culture, safety, yes, heart, and you can make that transition to merit. And every company's different, every leader's different. I missed the mark here, which I will hope will make me not miss the mark the next time. But here's why I do it. I missed the mark, and our company's never been healthier today. Overcorrecting from when you created too much entitlement is a hell of a lot better than establishing a company that is a soulless financial machine.
Yeah.
You're never injecting culture into that. So the seed matters.
Excellent.
Cool.
And then so in terms of over communication, so for the first in college all the way till I exited my first business, I was pretty much solo. And so
it doesn't come natural.
Right.
Try to figure out your way. Maybe it's phone calls. Maybe it's hiring a chief heart officer, making an investment to culture now, and giving her or him disproportionate power.
Yeah, I'm excited for Claude.
Yeah.
Cool.
Interesting. I want to know a little bit more of how do you guys manage your accounts, because there's a time when you're a younger company and you have an analyst managing 10 accounts, right? And then how do you go about making that transition into 1-to-1 or 2-to-1?
Carefully. And when you're asking that, are you asking financially, or how the account gets used to it, or the people themselves? Give me all of the above.
I think the Aces answer would be financial. Well, they pay more, therefore they get more people.
Yes.
But more of a part of the company and culture, because it's two completely different strokes. I've worked at other agencies, some where I've managed a ton of accounts, some mid-sized, and then some bigger ones where I am the analyst for one client only. So but I've never been in any transition from one to another. So I think that's a.
What's your concern in that transition?
I don't know. Should it be concerned?
Well, that's what's really good about this question. I think it's a good theoretical question, and I think it's less scary in real life, which is why I asked that, and which is why I'm glad the way you answered. I think you're worried about the boogeyman. You know what I mean? Like, I think you're trying to be thoughtful, which is amazing. That's what you want from leaders to begin with, so that's a good tell. But I think, hey Carl, you're on 7 accounts, now you're on 4.
And we're just gonna crank this back. Yeah.
There's not, some people might get, like, are you worried about the internal part? Like the actual employees that work for you? Like making that transition?
Sure, I mean, it could be, yeah. Because it's a completely different mindset.
Yeah, I think it's a boogeyman thing, really, I do. Like, it's a different mindset that either that person can do or can't do. You're probably, we're not gonna know if they can or can't, a lot of these, you know what I mean? I think people prep for things a lot of times that there was no preparation needed for.
Gotcha.
Think about how much you psyched yourself out for the first time you were gonna kiss somebody. Years. Like, like some of these things are just overthought. It's casting too. Carol's gonna transition beautifully. Rick, not so much. Yeah, Rick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think for you on the financial side, it's easy because you're just allocating. And then this is why culture matters.
Right.
Dude, this is why culture fucking matters. If you do part 1, anything that's scary about part 2, the culture eats up and fixes. Carol, who's struggling from going from 4 to 1 because she's bored, is gonna feel safe to talk about it. Instead of looking for another job to get challenged, this place got too big. Let me go somewhere where I can get that high of 10 accounts. You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
Culture. Culture is like oxygen. People think it's like a department. People think, it's not like finance. It's fucking a living and breathing thing. It is the operating system. It is not one of the apps. Finance is an app. Creative is an app. Strategy is an app. Culture is the fucking operating system. It's probably the proudest thing I'm up to. It's one of the most proud. I'm so proud that what I'm putting into the business ecosystem around this subject matter. Because I'm an alpha guy. It's not like, I'm not like, an 88-year-old grandma saying culture like I'm alpha, but this is real. And I'm glad that it's like starting to pick up a little momentum. It's gonna really pay out. So that's what I think.
I think
Please.
the reason I was asking
Please.
that, it was because, because I've been in both of those roles, just the depth of analysis and quality of work that you're expected to.
But the client is the judge and the jury of the quality of the work.
Right.
Which is a variable.
Bigger client, higher expectations. smaller
Potentially.
client. Gotcha.
It's casting. The bigger client just might have gone to the same college as you and likes you and has decided your work's better. Play in real life.
Okay.
That's what I do, got it? Potentially. The client is the judge and the jury, but they're a human, like a referee. All I need to know about referees is he's a human being. He's making a subjective call based on his knowledge of what pass interference is or isn't.
Perfect.
You understand?
Yeah.
It's an ideology that you hope he does it right every time. He can't. What angle did he see? These guys are going so fast. One of my biggest things with referees is they need to get into better shape. Like,
Obviously.
no, but I'm making a fun joke, but like it's fucking hard out there. I'm very weird with refs. I barely ever get upset with referees because I'm like, it's fucking hard. You know how fast these motherfuckers are? No matter how smart he is about positioning and he can have film for days to be on the 36-yard line in this hash, these fuckers are moving. And so what, you're mad at them because you watched it a minute later in super triple slow? Do you know how fast this shit is? So the same way I think about refereeing is the same way I think about clients. It's casting. I have plenty of small clients. They're way tougher than big clients. There's plenty of people paying me $11 million. They're passive as fuck, and people paying me $48 and pissed as shit.
Had that.
Got it?
Oh yeah.
Hey, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome.
The key for your business is learning when to fire a client, which is foreign as fuck.
Yeah, especially when you're young.
Of course, and by the way, when you're young and don't have the leverage, you don't fire. Kids always ask me, Gary, What do I fire? I'm like, can you afford it? No. Then you don't fire. You fire when you can afford it, you know? You know, things are great and you should fire clients that are bad to your employees to keep up the culture. It's the operating system. Yes, but if you fire them and go out of business, there is no operating system. You know?
Great. So one thing I was really curious about is, you know, as we are a young agency and, you know, we're starting to build ourselves up, kind of finding the line between like, you know, building up, and this might tie into the personal branding thing that we're gonna have, but the line between like putting our work and our time into building our brand, and then how do you balance that with like, you know, the work that is driving revenue, like your client work and.
You have to do both.
Yeah.
It's hard in the beginning, but the answer is both. The client is subjective. So you gotta be thoughtful that you're not deciding how much time and effort you have to put into the work. I mean, you can make a video, I mean, look, you're a creative, you know this. You can make something that takes you 13 minutes that they think is the most remarkable thing they've ever seen, and you can do something that's your life's work, and then you walk in and they're like, this is a piece of shit. You're in the complete subjective game. So you have to use the advantages of that while recognizing the disadvantages of it. Understand? Are you a perfectionist because you're insecure and you spend 2 more hours editing something because of your own ideological nature of perfection, which could have been used to work on your brand? Or are you not? Got it?
Yep.
You know, a lot of creatives don't like to hear speed and output and quantity matters. And I'm sure it's a friction on my own team. I'm looking at D, like, it's, you know, like when people, because, what, 4 months now, 5? Like, when you first come in, it's like, look, like, I'm so respectful of, I think creative is the variable of success. So it's really funny because I don't look the part of like the champion of creative, right? But it really is what I believe, and it's what I am. I also equally believe in output and speed. There's such a practical part to me. It's no different than what I just said. I'm saying the same things over and over, both. Like, if you break everything down, it's both. It's always both. The answer is both. It's why we have a problem in this country. People think it's left or right. The answer is both. I can't believe how much our country now believes it's one or the other. It's nuances of both. The good nuances. It's just hard to, you know, for one. So anyway, so the answer is both.
Okay. So when it comes to like, I mean.
If you're not building brand, you're not creating funnels that give you new business in a way that's passive. If you're not delivering on the quality work, you're not retaining. Right. It's like eating in the old days. You have to hunt and farm. The answer is both. So like, what does that mean? More hours or hire more people? Like, if, you know, it's not super complicated. Or the one that, because those are tough, both being efficient with your actual time. When people come in here, do you know how many of my employees are like, I need somebody on this account. I'm like, I'm not giving you somebody on that account. And they're mad. They're like, you fucking trying to burn me out. I'm like, no, you're on fucking Reddit for an hour a day.
Yeah.
You know?
That's me.
Yep, good.
Me?
Yep.
All right, cool. He's gonna ask you the big question.
Okay. So ask the even bigger question.
I have 2 questions
Yes.
for you. One is business advice, and the other one is selfishly some life advice.
Let's go.
So the first one being, our business has been built in the past 3 years on him. And very successfully. We've reached turnover. And what I feel from my observation where the brand is it's very personally branded. And we discuss this all the time about, at some point VaynerMedia was Gary. And how do we remove him?
98% of the people that work here still think that's our biggest problem.
Right.
So let's talk about that for a couple. The reason I answered you that way, 98% of the people here feel that I'm too far ahead. If they can't, most people don't care about it, but like the people that are trying to help this company, like my direct reports and like most of the feedback, we had a new head of we were hiring a new head of comms. I interviewed a lot of people. It was the #1 thing they wanted to talk about. Gary's so excited if I get this opportunity. I'm so excited to, like, you know, build up the brand of Vayner. So it's not just now. There's things that come along with that. You know, if he hates it too much or loves it too much, both are a problem. So, got it? So I don't know. Like the answer is you're fine in theory, more than you can imagine.
Okay.
But we're at the vulnerability of him as a human. And if he hates it too much, it's stressful, he doesn't want somebody to take a selfie, or like clients call him instead of the people you build around.
Yeah.
Or if he likes it too much and he becomes a caricature of himself and he gets high in his own supply.
I get real high.
Yep.
So that's the answer to that question.
Yeah.
Extension
So what
to
we're
that.
trying to do mistakenly is we think it's a logical problem that we need to resolve as he's the bottleneck of the company, but in actual fact it's an emotional problem where if he's not emotional about it, he is who he is, and the 1% is the
Well,
1%.
Because I'm the brand, people want me, people want my strategy, oversight. Did Lynn approve this?
So that's where you're making an operational mistake.
Yeah.
So one thing I did not make an operational mistake about is nobody gets me. And never was it promised. Now, if if Pepsi comes along and says, well, we'd like you for these 3, like we want you for, like, it's all negotiable, but it was never in play.
Right. And you make that clear from the beginning so I don't become the bottleneck
The end.
and they don't get pissed.
Right, they made a decision. I told them right to their face, you do not get me. I do not work on any account. I'm not here. I'm in the bat phone business. That shit better be bat phone shit. Like the Joker's fucking choking someone. Not there's a puddle in the street, Batman. You know what I mean? I'm in the Batman business, but where did this shit come from? Where does this shit come from? Oh man. But it's like, I like communicating in that way because it makes it obvious. You know, like even though it's funny and ridiculous, it's very clear what I'm telling you. You want to call me because your business is in real trouble, or like you're super upset with the people managing your business, like we can have that combo. But I'm not gonna fucking review that tweet.
Okay. So,
Expectations up front, which takes humility
Yeah.
from the person.
Yeah.
The thing that most people are unable to see about me until they really get closer is the humility part that comes along with the confidence. You know? Takes humility of the personal brand.
So my second question, less of a question, but I want to hear your thought process
Please.
when I tell you about this. And I highly respect everyone who goes and asks Garyvee and is vulnerable enough to talk about themselves and their position, because I'm feeling very nervous.
Go ahead.
I want to kind of set the tone with the end in mind.
Please.
We are super happy living with my parents. They're the best people in the world. And it took us a long time to get there.
We took your
But
advice.
here's what happened.
Wow, that makes me
phase
super
one,
happy.
We were getting serious in our relationships,
Mhm.
and we decided to buy a house.
Okay.
And we talk a lot about the unconventional success metric. of
Yep.
If you do a mortgage and
Yep.
sell yourself to death.
Yep. Died. I'm telling you. I mean it. Indian culture, Russian culture, it's the same shit. Obviously, there's a couple that outlie, but like stuff to prove you won is how humans are wired.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So we bought a house.
Yep.
If you see our Stripe account, I'm going to refer back to data. That was the time when the first growth happened in the company, because there was a lot of pressure and there was a deadline.
Interesting.
I grew under pressure. So
I understand.
Cool. So
Maybe.
the problem with this house
Maybe.
was
But you need to
we
talk
didn't
about
have a garage. And so one day when we had to park on the street, we parked a little bit further down, and 2 houses down, it's a massive mansion. This is about 9 months later. There was an open house, and we walk in the house, and he's like, we should buy this house. And I'm like,
You buy. I want to make sure I'm following this. You buy a house, 2 houses over, 9 months earlier.
Yep.
Right?
The
Yeah.
first house. It's
I understand. Yep. You at that same time are starting the business and it's starting to work.
starting to work.
I understand, it's starting to work. Like good things are happening in the business. You're starting to see the early indications of something good is happening.
Yeah.
So what you do with those early indications is decide that you should buy the bigger house.
Correct.
By the way, that makes a ton of sense to me. Keep going.
Okay. And so he's the dreamer, I'm the believer. I'm like, this house is 3 times of what our current house is. If you think we can do it, let's do it. We signed the papers 2 weeks later to buy this house. In the meantime, the same agents sell our house, and they're like, this is so weird. And look at our Stripe account, and that was our second huge spike in growth. And sustained growth, if I may add. So it's not just like
Yeah,
that.
literally from 100.
That might have had nothing to do with the houses, by the way. That might have been,
I bought the house.
I understand.
Couldn't afford it.
I understand,
Yeah.
but like the growth might have not happened because you're under pressure. It might have been because you're right about the thesis of what you were doing.
I want to test that now.
Good.
Because, now that we're so happy and comfortable, and
You wanna make
that
yourself more
the second
uncomfortable?
house emotionally wrecked us.
If you play a game,
Never do that.
let me say one thing, and I don't know if this is where you're going, but I'm just going to jump in because I like to do that. If you're going to play a game of like, every time we put ourselves in macro pressure, that we are this united front, and we emotionally and financially and strategically, we have big spikes of growth, you're going to pick wrong one day.
I
And
don't
Lou-
want that to happen,
So don't make that your thesis.
for sure. And
Figure out how to create pressure in a different way that isn't financially.
Yeah. So now we don't have financial pressure.
Okay,
Because we've
I understand. You've grown into being able to afford it
we've
easier.
grown
I get it.
We've grown
Understand.
into really just enjoying what we do.
Okay,
But now our business growth isn't as exciting, if that makes sense.
of course it makes sense, but that might not have anything to do with the pressure. I'm worried that you're strapping it to something that might have been serendipitous, not the engine of. It may also not be as exciting because the maturity of what you're doing is now doing much of the same, whereas before it was learning and finding new angles and doing, there may be a lot of reasons that it's not as exciting. Unless you're just masochist of financial, like, and I'm not joking, maybe, I can't, I don't know you well enough, but like, it's highly unlikely that like, that's the case. But wait a minute, you live with your parents?
Yeah, we do.
You moved them into your house, you mean?
We moved back with them. And
So you sold that big house?
We still have it. It's
What
still
we've
there.
done is we've turned it into a business retreat.
Yeah,
So it's
we've got
worked
out
out
of the
really
business.
perfectly.
I
for
see.
us.
That's cool.
We run against there.
I understand.
Yeah, so that's really exciting on that end. Maybe that's a really great segue.
Maybe, there's also another thing, and I'll let him segue, but another thing for you to debate, maybe you should start a new business. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I just keep starting new businesses.
well,
And some will fail and some won't.
yeah.
But in the net, I don't give a fuck because I'm happy. Starting a new business for me makes me happy. Makes me happy. I'm not really worried about, like, I love when everybody around, straight men and women are like, no. I'm like, I want to be happy.
Yeah.
Like, you can quit Vayner and start your own company if you want to be safe.
Yeah, I think that brings a lot of closure for me, because no way do I want to test us with financial pressure again.
Yes.
I just knew that wasn't the right way.
You can pressure yourself
Yeah.
and challenge yourself without it being the financial part. It can be the intellectual part. Like, one of the reasons I love to start businesses is to see how right I am about something. Because I love when people are like, oh, I thought of Uber before Uber. I'm like, that's great, Johnny. Like what does that mean? Like, I love people talking about shit. Oh, I knew Snap stock was gonna go down. Like, what does that even mean? I'm in the business of putting my money where my mouth is. Maybe that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
There are 2 takeaways from that, which is one, and I know Brian's going to go into
Or B. Just because you like concentrating and being, that's amazing. That's phenomenal. I think it's a great thesis. I think it's an incredible thesis that you should focus on something and see it home. How about the fact that I got D's and F's for that same macro rationale? Or you could be me, which is you love throwing up 47 plates and you're comfortable if 16 collapse because you like 31 plates more than one.
Yeah. And I love the takeaway of challenging us intellectually.
100%.
Yeah, because at the moment it's always been financial.
That's right. That's where
The
that.
output.
Honestly, you just made me so happy. If you can get into legacy, curiosity, process over bank account, I don't think I've ever really known how much money I have ever. I have no clue right now.
Yeah.
Enough to be dangerous to make sure it's enough to not be dead, but like when your process is the game, you're in a much better place.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll lead in. So we work with niched health and fitness.
I heard.
The big thing that I teach them and we teach them as a company is to build tribes, to build 1,000 raving fans around that one key area of expertise.
I understand. Because the monetization against that versus 100,000 that don't give a fuck means nothing.
Correct. And so as I go deeper, I'm starting to realize they can't monetize coaching because very few people pay for high-end coaching. Like you said before, people pay for tangibility. People don't pay for improvement.
Yeah, and oftentimes, like where it really becomes an interesting debate for a lot of people, depending on how they're wired. For example, I can get a lot of money for coaching. I don't want to. So there's two groups, ones that can't, and there's ones that subconsciously actually don't want to because an enormous percentage of people that pay for coaching are paying for the feeling that they're fixing something versus actually trying to fix it. One of the reasons I really struggle with a lot of people I know is they're bottom feeding on people. And so you gotta figure out which group, it's an important question for you when you meet somebody, you're like, hey, you can do this. It's either that they can't fill the pipe with valuable enough content, or actually they'd be more like me, which is interesting, which is they just don't feel good about it. It's an important part.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm thrilled to sell a hoodie or a sneaker or a glass of wine.
Because coaching is so intangible and most people don't rise, don't get the experience.
It's also very important to analyze your customer. Coaching's very tough when you know the person's looking for a quick fix.
Yeah. And the majority are.
100,000%.
And that's the reality.
The end. And then what it does is takes people out of their truth.
Yeah.
Because their ROI is the coaching business.
Correct. So we're kind of in a very ambiguous business because we have these experts who are coaching clients to a result. My job as their tribe leader is figuring out how to help them build their tribes and connect the dots to help them actually deliver their coaching for free, build that tribe, and then monetize on products, services, e-commerce, supplements, meal prep, recurring stuff. So I've got two questions for you. In order for us to do that, I need to get myself into the software space to allow them a platform to build their tribe.
Okay.
That's what I'm starting to feel. The 200 coaches that we have, if they can all have one white labeled software that they use to deliver to their tribe, that can then open up the door for them to segue in affiliate products, meal prep, supplements,
I understand.
and stuff. So right now we've kind of got two empty gaps. The first empty gap is if you were us now, you had 200 clients, you had a $3 million revenue sales. How do you begin to enter into software and tech, knowing that that's the future of fitness and that will help your clients grow and they need software and tech? And then the second question is, how do you form strategic partnerships with other products, services, for example, supplement companies, meal prep companies, apparel, so that you bring it under one big umbrella brand and you use the software where they build the tribe so that they don't make so much money on the coaching, but everything else is so much so leading with, cool, your prescription is to buy this meal plan if
I understand.
X, Y, and Z. Those are
You either build the tech, or you rent the tech, or you buy the tech.
yeah.
The end.
Yeah. Yeah. that's what I tend to as well.
Yeah,
What
I mean,
would you do?
I think everyone's different. You know, you want to feel more financial pressure, take a lot of the $3 million revenue business and deploy it against buying something from maybe a company that thought they were building a consumer tech platform, but they didn't realize how fucking hard that was, and they failed, and they've run out of money, and you can scoop up the tech. The first thing you probably have to do is bring somebody that looks like these two directly in your life as a partner, or somebody who actually gives a fuck. The biggest mistake that people make when they go into the tech business is they try to outsource the CTO, and it's different than where he is going. I mean, if you're gonna be in the tech business, and in essence, you're gonna now start selling a SaaS product to all these individuals, you better fucking have somebody who gives a fuck for the next 8 years at your hip.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's an entrepreneur who knows nothing about it, and they think they're gonna be clever and have somebody build this SaaS product in fucking Poland, and then what happens when there's a fucking update? And what happens when something breaks? Like, they fuck this up all the time. What I would do, I'd probably give up 5% of the company and hire a CTO and have her or him build it, or analyze the situation and say, actually we don't need to build it. These 3 series of products in the marketplace, we add 1 layer on top of it, we use their APIs, and we've got a product. And see, what's really interesting about this, right? So what's interesting is like, and these people actually do it, like what, and this is actually just an insight for all of you. What's interesting about me and probably what's manifested with me is I'm dangerous enough to be able to give that answer where people that actually know are like, fuck, that's a good answer, right? That's something that's just good for everybody to learn. Back to all the plates, I think something that people understand is how important it is to be dangerous enough. And you better be dangerous enough in technology and communication, because that's where our world's going until all of us die. Those 2 things are here. You better be dangerous enough in understanding tech, and you better be dangerous enough in understanding how to communicate, which currently is social media. Like, that's probably a much bigger factor in who I am right now than maybe even I articulate enough. I'm glad I just did that, because that really fucking matters. Because you do have to market your business even if you're B2B, and you should know how to do LinkedIn marketing because it will change your businesses. You going into SaaS, you can't rent that shit. You better
be part of me.
Has to be part of you. So, and listen, one of the weird, I think the mistake a lot of people would make 4 years ago is you're gonna learn how to code. Like everybody thought that was the unlock to, it's a commodity. Every kid, I was so pumped 5 years ago when everyone was sending their kid to learn how to code. I'm like, this is gonna be awesome. Coding is gonna be like plumbing. I'm gonna be paying fucking $26,000 a year for, everyone's like, you're gonna make $250,000. I'm like, do people understand basic human supply and demand? If everybody learns how to code, like the reason all those kids that actually were nerds and learned how to code and popped out in 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7 mattered is because that's when it was coming and nobody had the skill, and so that's why they won. If every 8-year-old learns how to fucking code, right?
Yeah. Gary, just on that.
Please.
Where would you find a CTO? Like, what do I look at that?
Look, bro, honestly, this is why I love this shit. Like, you should talk to these 2. They probably know people. Like, there's a lot of ways to go about this. You can either talk to people that Mark also, these people probably know. I mean, you're in Australia, they may not know. Like, there's things to talk about here. You can decide to go remote. You could be like me and you want all the gush book here. Like, whatever you do, but it's not as hard as you think. Like, one thing that I've always liked to do in the beginning is you look at shit in the world that you like, and you literally do 4 hours of Google to find people that built it. You find out it's an agency that built it here, and then you reach out and you look on the agency site and you literally see head of product, and you're Karen Thompson, and inevitably her Twitter is linked to it, and you just DM her and say, Karen Thompson, your fucking app that you built for Honeybee was really rad and a great product. Like, I'm looking to hire a CTO, and she's like, as a matter of fact, our head of development over here just said to me yesterday that I'm on a new job. You work.
Yeah, awesome. On to the second question, the strategic partnerships with the consumer product companies.
You reach out to them.
Yeah.
Every one of them is interested.
Okay.
Like, you email info at.
Would you start your own consumer? Would you start your own brand?
Depends on what you think. Depends on what you think you're good at.
Yeah.
If you think you're good at the toll booth business, you build a toll booth. If you think you're good at the highway business, you build a highway. That's what the 2 things are. That's what the 2 things are. If you want to sit in the middle, and somebody's building a meal plan, and you're sitting in the middle, and there's influencers, and you sit in the middle, and you arbitrage, that's what you do. That's the toll booth. If you think you're good enough to fucking make the meal plan, that's the highway. Biggest companies in the world right now are the toll booths of the internet. Amazon, Apple. That's why Mark loves blockchain. That eliminates the toll booths. Got it? That's why I like personal brands and why I wrote Crush It. The pedestal that my book Crush It is going to be put on in 30 years is remarkably exciting for me personally, because at scale, what blockchain does is justifies the behavior of people building personal brand, because it's the only thing going to be left is the thing and the audience on the other side. There will be many technologies built on like the thesis, and I don't know how it will evolve, and I'm not dangerous enough just yet to fully have even great thesis on this, but my lightweight thesis on this, in its super macro, I'm very confident, which is there's the person and the audience. And in a lot of ways, that's what the internet did, but then people layered on top of it, which led to the next innovation. That's all. The internet's gonna feel like the networks. Cool.
So just 2 questions. This kind of goes into, actually, like you were just saying, like removing certain things. So originally, I built an app for a sports agent who wanted to put herself out of business. So basically, it was an app that acts like...
It's funny, that's the same agenda I have for VaynerSports. Put everybody out of business. Go ahead.
And this one's like, basically, it's direct to, the player can sign their contracts with the brands.
So smart. So, brand, from a marketing standpoint. Understood.
And then it goes into escrow, and then when they either do...
Yep, got it, I understand.
So, done this, going through it, copyrighted, done stuff with ESPN, got to be with AJ for VaynerSports.
That's awesome.
Him. But the thing was, I can do things like that. I can be in ESPN, I can do this. Now, it goes into who we sometimes represent, right? So we have one of the clients, Little Skies, and so he's on tour. And so like with the partner I have, he has his own business, but he's a videographer, so he does everything with him. So we did a documentary about him, his family, everything. But there's one thing that when we're trying to get bigger coverage with bigger, like complex things like that, it seems like it's moving targets. Like we can get smaller outlets, but there's always seems to, the decision maker, it's not the editor, it's always moving when we're trying to distribute that kind of content. What we do is micro docs for those.
Well, it's because they have the leverage.
Yeah.
It's a moving target because it's a highly political decision. You want free distribution potentially, and attention is the asset. Mm-hmm. If Complex, or as we continue to build 137 PM, if you're gonna hit me up and be like, yo, we made this awesome, and Sky's fucking on it right now, matters.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna have to say to myself like, but I don't wanna, the content's a commodity. Mm-hmm. I'm like, fuck it, let's just go make our own T Grizzly documentary. Because we've got the audience.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And content is the variable and the most important thing, but the supply of content is remarkable.
Yeah.
There's 877 SoundCloud rapper documentaries being made right now.
Exactly.
Because everybody wants to be D-Rock. And like there's a lot going on, right? So like that's why that's happening. Because they're trying to figure out, they'd rather do it themselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And they're gonna continue to go down that route.
And
everything's gonna be fully integrated. Mm-hmm. People are gonna make and distribute themselves.
Yeah, which brings up, okay, so that...
You see where I'm going? You could still catch some stuff because a decision maker's just like, fuck, I fuck with Little Skies, this was fresh.
Yeah.
But they don't wanna pay money for it. Yeah. And or they don't wanna share the revenue when they get a sponsor to layer on top of it. This is why I'm building it this way. Yeah. Think about what I'm doing. VaynerMedia has the relationship with the brand. Yeah. The publishing company is the distribution, right? The media part of VaynerMedia is enhanced distribution. My production like you see what I'm doing? Yeah. I don't want to be at the mercy of anybody.
That makes sense. And so with this business model, the thing that we're using is almost, which is kind of unique, when we're doing these mini docs, what we're trying to do is actually just either give the rights or something to whatever platform, but use that as leverage for getting other clients. So we're not actually looking to.
Okay, so when you say other clients, you're charging the artist?
Well, actually, a lot of them, it depends on which artist, right?
Makes sense.
If they're
Drake, not so much.
Yeah.
You know,
So-
Skies 2 years ago, maybe.
Exactly.
I got it.
So with Skies, the videographer, we actually are all from the same town, like from years ago. So he documented Skies since he was 7.
That's
all the way up.
amazing.
And his father almost died when he was like 14. The whole reason Skies started rapping was his father got in a horrible accident, 3rd-degree burns everywhere, couldn't speak for a while, and he rapped, but he taught his kid and everything, and that's actually how Skies blew up.
That's insane.
So he has the whole doc.
I didn't know that.
Like, he has all of these
Well,
stories.
that sounds like a unique piece of content, and that I would be more careful with.
I wonder. Okay.
That sounds, you know, and this is why content is the variable,
Yeah.
right? Like, you know, like, so as you added more context, that seems unique.
Yeah.
If you've got footage of that shit,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that's unique to me. I think that I wouldn't, like, I would be more thoughtful about. That to me, I think you need to try to reach out to Hulu and Amazon and Netflix and try to really go for the jugular.
Yeah.
Not even, like, I think you know, to your point, lower places, I don't even think you play in the complex Vice, like hype, like I think you go fucking jugular if you've got that footage,
Yeah.
because the footage is the value prop.
Yeah, and he has all the footage when he was recovering.
It's funny, it's making me think about something that I don't think people understand. Like, literally the most valuable asset that I put in a trust for my kids is all the IP footage of everything I'm recording. Yeah, it's wild, right?
Yeah.
Because it had no value, so the value on it when I put it in the trust is like $100,000. So
State tax and everything is going to be minimal.
my intuition is, if you actually project the potential of VR 50 years from today, you could have unlimited people paying $19.99 to sit in that seat right now and think they're in this room. I always use the analogy of, would I today pay, and how much would I pay to sit in the room of a meeting between Bill Gates and Steve Jobs in 1984? For me, the way I learn, a lot, because I'm good at contextual history, so I'd pay the 5 Gs, because I could afford it, and because I know if I sat there and listened, they would say something that I could contextualize into 2019 that would help me. Interesting, right?
I like it.
Oh, this is the last question. It was dealing with all the things we were talking about, CTO and all the things. What I've developed is basically, it's called being a full stack brand developer. And
Yeah, I understand.
basically, it's a mixture of copywriting that. And what I'm focusing on, I have severe dyslexia, and I think kids need to learn how to basically learn these skills, because it's just not, I was terrible at school. It just doesn't work the same way with that. So I'm basically putting this together as a program, and I don't know.
A curriculum?
Yeah, and I don't know if should it be feasible where I should even care about a revenue stream or do that, or just worry about the program and try to teach it to as many kids as possible?
Well, that's a personal question, right? Like, I think that, look, all of us have different levels of what they want to do selfishly and what you want to do selflessly, right? And so I never judge that. I think that's circumstantial, right? I chose the route, you know, maybe because I had options, because I knew how to build businesses otherwise, to not monetize my audience. But I don't judge that. I don't judge that. And I don't think anybody should live to anybody else's standard. Maybe you start charging at first, it hits pay dirt, you did well, and you're like, fuck, I've done well now, and this clearly is working, let me make it free for everybody in the world. Maybe you start it, maybe you go more my route. You make it free, that builds up equity in itself, and it lets you monetize in other places where you get to speak for, like, there's a lot of ways to do this, and I don't think there's a right way, there's only a right way for you. I hate when people try to impose their way. You know, I'm very passionate, but I'm not trying to impose my way, because it's fucking free. I'm trying to use it as a context point, and you can do whatever you want with it. I don't, you know, it's something I'm trying to clarify more of. Like, I don't think I'm right. I think I'm right for me. It's a data point, and your ability to synthesize that and understand your own nuances is the key. You know?
Thank you.
Who's right, Tony Robbins or Oprah? They're different. Oprah had the luxury of a TV deal to not charge her audience, but that's what she did after, because that's, you know, I don't know. I don't want to have a mastermind. I don't. But I don't mind selling you sneakers, because my big thing there is if you're wearing sneakers anyway, you know? So for me, it's comfortable. I want to give away my content, and I do look at people that sell their content more cynically. I do, but that's okay. It doesn't mean I'm right, and it does. And cynicism is actually wrong. It's not for me. You do you. You can do either, and they both can work. You can hold your breath, build equity on giving it away for free, and then do something on the other side for yourself. It's a long game, or you can charge from the beginning because you need it right now, and that's fine too. Just too much judgment in the system right now on one or the other. You know, we've gone on full judgment tilt. Do whatever the fuck you want to do.
And that's why I built the agency to work with the clients.
I got it, bro. I wanted to buy brands one day when the economy collapsed. That's why I built an agency. Like, I shouldn't be in client services, but I have a strategy. The economy has decided not to collapse. So it's just still sitting here, but but yeah, now the machine is like way greater. Now I can really swallow Reebok, let alone fucking, So in some ways, what I perceived is like, fuck, why won't this thing fucking clap? Well, my own thesis on myself, right? The longer it's gone, the more leverage I have. I used to think that I was gonna fold Vayner and take 20% of the team and work on Aquafina. Now I won't have to do that. Now somebody else is gonna run Vayner,
Yeah, so I'm having what I'm calling it maybe an identity deal problem. So I've got my company's Blind Zebra. You get that, right?
Yes, I get it.
Thank you. And I'm doing sales training, sales coaching for myself in Indy for 22 years. I've intentionally wanted to be an independent, just me, single shingle, lifestyle biz, shut it down and done.
Good for you.
2 years ago, I'm like, you know what, there's no reason not to scale this.
Good for you too. By the way, I love that story. I think that's one thing that I wish more people understood.
Yeah.
You can change your mind.
Yeah, and especially I'm the only guy on the table with readers, I think. So
I get it.
The old guys, so.
I get it.
So I've got here are the brands, and I want to get your opinion on. Okay, if I handed them to you, what's the first two things you think about? Sales training, sales coaching, keynote speaking. My wife and I are flying to San Francisco to launch a wine biz. I have business ADD. We'll meet with John Wilkinson from the Bin to Bottle
Amazing.
guys. You're going to say a lot of the same guys. It's a sports oriented in a can.
Love.
Sports people, Blind Zebra. It's going to be named for referee calls.
Love
It's
it.
going to be called a legal substitution. There we go.
I'm in for a case.
Bubbles,
Can't wait.
touch it. Okay, you're in. We're doing in the fall. I'm launching a thing called Hustle Fest.
Okay.
Because it turned into my full
Yep.
real hustle, and there are a lot of guys in Indy. Gary Brackett, Pat McAfee done the same thing. Gonna rent out a place, do that. That's Hustle Fest, and I've been doing podcasting for 14 years. I've got 650 episodes in sales. It's called the Man Selling Podcast. I've got a partner in that business. Got a decent LinkedIn tribe. We've got about 11,000 people in a group, and we've got about 5,000 people on an email list. And I personally went heavy in LinkedIn early on, and I've got about 11,000 LinkedIn connections. That's my big, just my own personal individual deal. So that's the lay of the land. Now I'm trying to figure out, okay,
what would you like to happen? So if I said to you that,
right.
just in business, you'd like to do more revenue.
Yeah.
So if I just said,
they're separate. Yeah, I get separate answers for each one. So the sales training thing will be scaled. So I've got this public program called Training Camp. Everything's around football with the brand. And so I've got Training Camp in Indy,
I'm listening.
We have Training Camp in Chicago, Training Camp in Columbus, Ohio.
How are you gonna do
New
that?
York. Certified coaches like me. I've got the content's already built. I just need to go out, and then we're going to feed leads to them. It's going to be the stickiness that we'll have.
Franchise?
It's easy to leave. I don't know if it's going to be a franchise, that complicated, something similar to that.
Yep.
Speaking, I just need an agency to rep me. I just don't do anything to promote myself.
There's no agency that wants to rep anybody who hasn't created the leverage for themselves first.
Right.
Doesn't exist.
Is a podcast with 150,000 downloads a month enough leverage or not? Got to be bigger.
No, it's not that.
What is it?
It's you need to be speaking.
Oh, I am.
Good.
Do some. Yeah.
Do more.
Yeah.
And film the shit out of it and put it out.
Yeah.
Got it?
Yep. The wine business is a distribution business. We've got, I think, 80 colleges that are opening up alcohol sales. You got NFL, NHL, Major League Baseball, and you go to a tailgate, or there's no sport specific wine, and it's in a can, so it's single use. And our NFL fan is flipping to female more than male.
You know how political that's going to be to get distribution, right?
Yeah.
it's really political.
It's really
You know the 3-tier system, right?
Yeah, I came from Procter & Gamble on the sales side.
Yep.
So I understand that side of it.
The only
I'm on
difference is
compliance side.
it's actually completely different than
Yeah.
than CPG from the standpoint of the distributor has the leverage, not the creator of the product.
Yeah.
Because of the prohibition laws in place.
Yeah.
So for the San Francisco Giants to serve it at their, Young's Market or Southern, like it's an extremely difficult business.
Yes.
I just want to make sure you're going in eyes wide open and not make too much the first year.
Yeah, no, that's good. John said the same thing.
Good.
Yeah, it's good. And this Hustle Fest is a brandable thing too.
It's a conference.
Yeah, it's a conference.
Look, I mean, it's all this. Listen, you obviously, I mean, you can imagine based on what you just said how native this question is for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to give advice that I think that I live, which is you need to build up as much personal brand equity as possible to then funnel into these energies.
Yeah.
I believe the way to do that is to invest in your personal brand. That means produce content and spend media to amplify it. The biggest mistake people are making right now is they're relying on organic, on their personal brand, because that feels like the right thing to do. There's almost like this badge of honor of like they get their traffic from organic. It's actually the reverse. It's a super non-strategical move to not amplify media when media is underpriced. You should be spending as much money as you can afford, amplifying your content on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Are you doing anything with legal cannabis yet?
Yeah, I have a 49% share in a company called Green Street out of Los Angeles. We've taken some former VaynerMedia employees that now work in there. It's an agency. It's a conference business called Hall of Flowers, which we own a piece of, and we own pieces of equity of brands we start with other individuals.
Have you heard of Puppy Delivery yet?
No.
So I'm invested in them. It's cannabis delivery in Nevada,
which
and
is
California.
exploding as a business model everywhere.
So it's insane. Yeah. So we bought 150 smart cars and started distributing them all across California and Nevada. And the interesting thing now that we're up against is like, obviously you can't use Facebook, you can't use paid search.
Yeah, but that sucks for us because we know it. But I keep trying to remember, this is literally my favorite thing that's going on right now is the cannabis conversation of like
before Facebook and paid search, there were other things.
100%.
Right? So like, just go find those.
You could also do influencer marketing. Yeah, like all my cannabis friends, and since I'm really in it, and 2 years ago when I came into it, like there was a legitimacy factor that the market appreciated, and I was like, look, like it's here's the punchline. Everybody, I was just at the Hall of Flowers conference. Every single person that came up to me and said, Gary, what the fuck? I can't. Facebook's fucking me. I'm like, they're not fucking you. They have a term of service. You don't think they want your money? They're trying to figure it out. So instead of crying about what you can't do, why aren't you spending all your time trying to figure out what you can do? Like you can start the #1 podcast in the world around cannabis and dominate. This is gonna be great for cannabis businesses because the drug of the current unbelievable success of being sucked into an Instagram, Facebook world is something they're not gonna get high on, which is gonna allow them to innovate and create something they own instead of fucking renting.
Intended. One more culture question for you if you don't mind. So I'm as addicted to starting new businesses, they'll tell you
Yes.
that as well. So how do you make your current team feel like you're not going to abandon them, or is it
By
like
not
number of
abandoning them.
people? Well, yeah, but like obviously, but like, and I mean they know my
Yeah, just-
personality by now, but it's like, wait, less
Look,
time of yours?
100% what worked for me is I would say things over and over. They mainly didn't believe it, and then over time as things happened, they believed it more, and that's how you build a reputation.
Yeah, makes sense. Cool.
It's funny how basic it is. But what are you gonna do? Like hypnonize them?
It's like a factor
No,
of
but I'm
building,
making
more
joke.
people around you, or like
No, because it's still not you,
right?
How do you make sure they know that you're not gonna abandon them? That doesn't come in the form of hiring me. Hey, I'm here. Like that makes it seem like you're going to abandon them. Like here's Carl. He's really important now. They're like, fuck. This is the thing. I've gone the other way. I've gotten more in. I'm like literally like I even eliminated the COO role at Vayner. I'm the COO. That really gets you to believe it when the CEO's operational.
Both offices.
And an interview with CNN.
Okay. quick photos? Yeah, let's do quick selfies first. Oh, thank you, brother.
your present, man?
Oh, this is
Game worn,
fucking
brother.
amazing, bro.
Game worn, man.
Game worn. Fuck. Dude, this is amazing.
Unworn hat. How's that? You can take a
Awesome.
picture.
I will.
Put it
Thank
up
you,
in
brother.